Greetings, Africa. Greetings, Global Africa. This is King H. I'm back with another article that actually caught my attention. And this article reads, Italy accuses France of impoverishing Africa. A European nation is accusing another European nation for impoverishing nations in Africa. That is, Italy is accusing France for impoverishing countries in Africa. If today we still have people living in Africa, it is due to several European countries, first of all France, that didn't finish colonizing Africa. D. Mion told reporters Sunday. So somebody from the government of Italy, D. Mion, told reporters that because France has not finished colonizing Africa, the people of Africa are leaving Africa in order to search for greener pasture, in order to search for a better life, because the resources that are available in Africa are being bled by France so that they could enrich themselves. And then the people of Africa suffer. So when you don't have a way to survive, you look for ways in order to survive, which is why many African people are fleeing from their own continent into the European continent. And with this huge trafficking of people is affecting Italy and other countries in Europe, which is why they're trying to address this issue. Because France has decided not to stop colonization of African nations, it forces the people of Africa to flee out of Africa into Europe. The Italian government went further to say that the European Union should sanction all these countries, like France, that are impoverishing African countries and obliging these people to leave. The place for Africa, the place for African people is Africa and not at the bottom of the Mediterranean Sea. He added, if we want to stem the departures of migrants, let's start addressing this issue. Let's start coping with it also within the United Nations, not only at the European Union level. Italy has to make itself heard. In one of the nations that are really affected by African, one of the countries that are really affected by the migrants or by African migrants into European nations is Italy, and which is why they are addressing this issue that the European Union must see into this and actually put sanctions on France and other countries like Britain or the United Kingdom also need to be sanctioned because people who were colonized by Britain in Africa also flee from their nation in order to find greener pasture. So you can see the action and the reaction to what is happening because France is still exploiting Africa. That exploitation forces Africans to flee from Africa into European nations, which also affects the other European nations because they are now forced to help these people who are coming into their country, but they don't have the resources to do that, which is why they're bringing this issue to the European Union, to the United Nations, so that this issue can be resolved. France is the problem. France is the big problem, the big the gigantic issue when it comes to the survival of Africa, and we Africans must kick France out. If today we still have people leaving Africa, it is due to several European countries. First of all, France, that didn't finish colonizing Africa. President Macron was in Abuja this weekend that just passed. And he said colonization was a grave mistake and he wants to start a new leaf. This is the new leaf I would suggest to Macron and to the people of France. Leave Africa. Just the way you did to threaten some of the African nations who were trying to not to do business with you after colonization. You decided to uproot all of everything that you had put on the ground. It's time for you to do that. Take out your embassies, take out your military, take out everything that you own and just exit out of Africa. If you do that, it will help to improve the condition of the African people. But so long as your presence is still in Africa, the people of Africa will feel the pinch that you actually are giving to them. France is a problem. It's an African problem. And the only way to solve it is through Pan-African revolution. Africa, the entire continent of Africa must rise through a Pan-African revolution to knock out everything that has to do with colonization and the Western world, or Western nations. We gotta do what the Chinese did. Shut down the entire Africa completely and build it inside before opening all the borders in any other part of the continent or part of the world. We must do that, because if we don't do that, we're way backwards. We need to catch up with what the world is doing, and we cannot do that when they keep exploiting us. We cannot do that when you have nations like France, like Britain, still exploiting. And don't even talk about the other Arab nations. Who are exploiting the people of Africa. We must wake up from slumber. African unity must be realized. African sovereignty, African independence, economic independence must be actualized. And we must do that as a people, or we will always be backwards in so many things, because the rest the rest of the world, the rest of the world needs the resources that Africa has, but they're not doing business in a more beneficial way that actually will help the situation across Africa. This is King Angel. Till next time.